Can you tell us how have the last few days been emotionally, and how do you feel now about sort of the result of the work put in, the accord with the players, coaches, and the league, the results of all the work that you guys have done these last few days?
I think it's great. I think we all needed a pause. I think emotionally, physically, mentally, and I think that the pause was for a greater cause, not just for basketball, but for all the social issues in our world today. And obviously, based on recent events across the world and recent police killings and shooting, it allowed us to use our platform to be able to stop what we're doing and recognize how important the rest of the world and me being a Black man in our African-American communities, how important it is to be able to pause and understand how us as a league, as owners, collectively, how can we come together and make sure that we're doing the right thing as it pertains to that.
How does it feel to know that the platform that you have is effective, that it's powerful, it works?
Number one, it's a blessing. I think that a lot of people don't understand how strong and how powerful it is. We're on TV every day. Our faces are, some of the most well-known people in the world. When people see us and kids look up to us, and to me, it's an unbelievable blessing. And I believe that, at least for me personally, God has put me in this position for a reason to be able to not just to play basketball, but to use my platform to better help other people and help our youth, help people across the globe and understand how important different things in life is.
Thank you.
Christy Regan.
Hey, Russ, I know you have some young children like Jacob Blake does, and I was wondering how difficult was it for you to see what happened to him happen in front of his children, and how much do you hope what y'all are doing can be able to affect real change in this country?
Man, honestly, I watched the video and it's heartbreaking. It's something that is you can't explain, and it's something that is just not right. Me growing up in the inner city of Los Angeles and being able to see the different police brutality that happen on everyday life, and for me to be able to see that, number one, is heartbreaking. And in my mind, I wanted to find a way to help and make change. And the good thing about our league and our players, we all felt the same way about the situation. And for us to be able to take a pause and a break, to be able to now come to a few things that we think is important for now. And obviously there's so many other things going on in our society that we can tackle. But I think initially tackling our voting and finding ways to be able to use our teams and our arenas to be able to understand why voting is important. And I think that's a trickle-down effect to our police reform, as you would say, are finding ways to be able to make sure our cops and the cops around the world, number one, get penalized and their consequences for their actions, especially when they're, unjust.
Kaylee Griffin. Kaylee. We'll go with Tim McMahon.
Russ, I appreciate what you guys are doing with social justice, but I wanted to change subjects real quick and ask you about your health. How are you feeling physically with the quad? And Mike says he thinks there'll be some sort of minutes restriction on you tomorrow. What are your thoughts on that?
I'm taking day by day. That's all I can do. Just taking them one day at a time. And that's what I've been doing. That's all I got for you.
Mark Berman.
Russ, along those lines, how excited are you to get back out there in Game 5?
I'm excited to play, but I'm more excited that we're playing for a cause, playing that we're in agreement to be able to make sure that's action. Like for guys like myself, and I'm pretty sure guys around the league, is, you know, we play and we have our names on the back of our jerseys and we have our messaging on the back of our jerseys. And that means something. And it's not just something that we just put on there for fun or for kicks and giggles, but it actually means something. It's actually something that I personally take action and take responsibility in being an African-American athlete, a black man in this society, having a son of my own and having other kids that look up to me from my neighborhood around the world. It's something that's what I'm most excited about moving forward. And obviously basketball is our platform. It's something that I love and embrace to do. But to me, that is the most important reason why we're actually even coming back to playing. Because if there wasn't any agreement or there's no action moving towards some of the things that we talked about as players and me personally, I wouldn't be playing.
Ryan Bearfield.
Russ, when you see things like the Jacob Blake incident, how does that make you feel knowing that you have a teammate and somebody you know personally in Thabo Sefolosha who has went through police brutality? You know what? It hits home for many reasons, man. I grew up in South Central Los Angeles. I've been around people, my friends. I have family and friends that have been subject to police brutality. I have people that I know, friends that are cops as well. So I've been privy to it all, man. And since I was young, and my parents has always taught me to find ways to be able to use your platform to be able to not one, help your community, but actually be involved and be upfront, and where you are actually in the field and finding ways to be able to help the community. And this year has been crazy. We have the election coming up. It's a pandemic going on where people are losing their lives and families are struggling. It's so much going on at one time, man. I think it's a time where we actually take a break and actually think about the things we need to do and do them. It's a lot of talking, and everybody likes to talk about what they want to do and how they want to do it, but it's another step to actually doing it. And that's what I'm all about, is action and making sure that is happening right away.
Hey, Russ, you kind of touched on this, but how close do you think was this season to ending on Wednesday night, Thursday? And then secondly, ownership around this league has committed money in the past, but there are people that don't necessarily agree with you politically and stuff like that. How heard do you feel by people who may not be on the same side on some of these issues?
I know we've heard, because once the NBA stopped, everything else stopped. And to me, that shows a lot. That shows the platform, that shows the power of us as players, and our voices were heard. And I don't know how close we were to stopping and if that was an opportunity, but I do know one thing. We stopped for a reason. We needed a pause. We needed a break. And I think it's very, very important that we not just, the owners tell us that what they're going to do and how we're going to do them together, but we hold them accountable. And I think that's another step of making sure that things that we discussed amongst each other in this partnership that get done. And they get done in a fashion where we both can agree on. And we see the impact, we see the change that's happening across our world.
Michael Shapiro.
Hi, Russell. I just wanted to know if you could detail at all your conversation with Michael Jordan and how he kind of helped the players and the owners kind of get on a path to some social justice initiatives.
MJ has always been huge in finding ways to give back to not just communities, but the African-American community. And me being with Jordan Brand and him being on the side of ownership and being a Black owner is huge. And during the meeting and during the conversation between myself, the players, and owners, he was huge in making sure that whatever it is that we wanted to do together, we make sure we get it done. And I think that's the next step, as I mentioned before, is we've had previous conversations with ownership and players and some of the things that we weren't able to get done. But I think MJ was real adamant about making sure that, we we get things done and get them done the right way.
We'll take two more. Greg Bailey.
Hey, Russ, how much of a sense inside the bubble with your teammates and other players in the NBA is there that 5 years from now, 20 years from now, you can look back at this and say that you were part of meaningful change and meaningful change in the way that people of color are treated in this country?
I can't speak for anybody else. I speak of how they feel. For me personally, it's something that I think about daily. And even before I came in the bubble, since I've been in the NBA and since I've grown up in the city of Los Angeles and finding ways to give back, I've always thought about legacy and figuring out a way to be able to, what does it mean? What does your legacy mean? Is it just about basketball? And I don't think mine is about basketball. I believe mine is about giving back, and not just giving back, but impacting and inspiring and finding ways to be able to do what's right. In today's day in society, our Black communities has been hurting for many, many, many years. And I feel like I have the platform. I have the ability to be able to reach certain people. And I feel like it's my duty to make sure that our Black people are heard, our Black men are heard, our communities, underserved communities are heard, and I'm going to do everything in my power to make sure that happens. And to be involved with something like this today, I'll be lying here saying if I wasn't putting that on the line first and making sure that I'm a part of history in a positive way, and making sure that, and whether it's 5 years, 10 years, 20 years down the line, that I can look back and say, I was a part of that and I put my best foot forward.
Last one, Terrence Harris.
Hey, Russ, how's it going? Hey, I just wanted to ask you, how long, have you always felt empowered in terms of being able to express yourself? And if not, at what point did that kind of come to light that, you have this power and this ability to make people listen?
I always felt like this. I may have not always spoken out to you guys about it, but I'm more about action. I do a lot of things on a daily and day out basis in a community that I don't publicize, nor do I bring cameras. I'm more about impacting our people, and they see my face. They understand that I'm serious about helping and inspiring people. And today's day, whether it's social media, you're able to see things that people do, what they say, and I'm more about action. And I've always been outspoken as it pertains to my beliefs on the underserved community, on the Black communities, because that's where I grew up. Because I can say I was one of those kids. I was those kids in the Black community that didn't have access to different educational programs, different things to educate ourselves about politics, educate ourselves about African American history. And I want to be the person that a kid that was my age, or a young teenager can say, Russell Westbrook came back, and it's because of him that I understand and I know about our history. I understand what it's like. I understand the wrongs and rights, and I want to be consistently stand on point to our communities, and it's something that I've always believed in, and it's something I'm going to continue to do.
Thank you, Russell.
Yeah, appreciate it.
Russell Westbrook talking about he's about action and impacting for his people. Will he appear in Game 5? You'll have to stick around.